Welcome to the podcast Lead the Future, the ALT Summer Series. Each podcast I will ask 3 panelists an authentic leadership transformation question, in short ALT. This ALT question was part of the ALT Summit's third panel discussion titled The Creative Age is Now. I'm Arjan Visser, a human-centered futurist and your host. Today we gather around the theme The Creative Age is Now. For most of the past 50 years, leadership was shaped by the management age, built on efficiency, processes, and control. But the signs of change have been growing for more than a decade. Identity, purpose, well-being, relationships, and transformation has moved to the center of our conversations. The creative age has begun. It's a human-centered, identity-driven, and transformation-oriented age. It calls us not only to lead differently, but to be different, to shape the foundations of a society where expression, connection, and flourishing are the norm. In this conversation, we explore together how to guide society's transformation into the creative age. Leadership today is not only about guiding organizations, it's about shaping society. We stand at the beginning of a 50-year cycle, and perhaps even a 500-year renaissance, where flourishing depends on human expression, freedom, and creativity. The question we now face is, how do we guide this broader transformation of society into the creative age? Let me briefly introduce my 3 panelists before we go to the conversation. Chris Harding, a true game changer with a relentless curiosity to see beneath the surface and reimagine what's possible. Chris unlocks human potential. He challenges conventional thinking and invites a bold vision of the future where everyone can thrive and be fully seen for their unique good. Sascha Visser, a visionary educational architect who equips leaders to design human-centered learning environments, where the next generation can discover who they are, grow in self-leadership, and prepare to flourish in the creative age, a human-centered society. David Koerts, a courageous builder of futures who partners with forward-thinking pioneers to move beyond outdated paradigms. David activates inner alignment and helps leaders shape ecosystems where purpose, innovation, and lasting change can truly root. Enjoy the conversation. How do we guide society or society's transformation into this creative age in such a way that it's a lasting change? We leave the system behind because we are building or starting probably with longing and then building and then living into the new system, because our current age has a system. The creative age will have a system too. It's that supportive structure that starts with a great idea, probably works well and is optimized for a long time, and at the end it becomes the depression of the age because we feel that we serve the system and need a new one. That's a cycle. So how do we guide society's transformation? Sascha, can you lead us in answering that question?
Yeah, creativity is an expression of identity, is what we say in our house. Then you have to know yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to wear your own shoes. If you wear bigger shoes, it's not comfortable. If you take too small shoes, you won't come very far, I think. So know who you are. And I think create for the next generation an environment where they are loved, where they are motivated to grow from the inside out. Every child is curious, even small children, and we say, yeah, come on, walking, you are doing great, even when they fall over 4, 10 or 20 times. You keep on supporting them. And that's what they need. They need a coach. They need to be surrounded with safety, so they grow in what they like and where they want to go. And yeah, they need to know what we mentioned. How is the brain working? What do I need to do? They need to know differences between boys and girls because the system is different. They need to build self-confidence, and yeah, we need to inspire them. So maybe integrate technology. They don't need to know the same amount of, what we did on school, unlearn a bit of that, and then see where it goes. And we don't know what the future will bring. We didn't knew a few years ago that we will have a meeting online like this, like now. There will be surprises, and I love that. I love to be open. I love to look forward what's coming. Don't be afraid, and see where I can have influences and what comes on my route. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
David.
I have to refer a little bit to my core premise, and that is the idea of actually what is the obstacle that hinders us to actually take that new territory. For example, just if we have too much scarcity, then the promised land is abundance. So how do you get from scarcity to abundance? For example, when you have a lot of offense in your culture or even in your brain sometimes, just then the promised land is actually a land of favor. And so how do you get from the offense to the favor, to the new future that we want to enter? And so that is probably about obstacles that are somewhere, and we have to identify them for ourselves to be very serious. That's what I do. That's what I do in my core premise. That's why it's very nice, actually to be able to talk about it. That's what I've been wired to do, to actually see the things that actually stopping us from taking the promised land, to taking that nice future where ecosystems actually help others, the individuals to thrive and to flourish. So we have to and then also take the parallel with our brains that we just made. Is our brains are not very much excited about rules. We can live long with rules, but actually your brains really thrive on dreams, on vision, that gives energy. And so we have to paint a picture where we can actually dream of just ecosystems that actually are really built for the individual to be radical unique and radical in searching for the thriving and the flourishing of the individual. And so that's why I call it dreaming, but that taps into the creativity and the innovation that we're going to be living in the future.
I like it. So not taking offense of what seems impossible and elevate that above your dreams, but actually elevate your dreams and take what seems impossible as the invitation. I'll nearly think of what's the name in English from that. That's I think it was Swedish children's series. With the Longstock, Pippi Longstock. When she said, I've never done it. I think I can do it. Instead of
nice.
Creating mountains out of what you simply can't see, understand, oversee, or where you have a perspective on.
Yeah, so we also have to reframe. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but we have to reframe also the whole idea about mistakes. Just in the industrial age, mistakes mean actually you have not reproduced the same way, which is crazy, because then when I tell entrepreneurs, just like when you become an entrepreneur or a parent, the thing is actually in any part of society is actually that you start to figure out that mistakes are raw material for growth.
Yeah. Like
And
that.
so that's why we have to reframe the whole idea about mistakes.
Yeah. Chris.
I think for me, the first step is to reconnect with the sacredness of life, if that makes any sense. I think we're alive at a time where that whole argument about we're just material beings, just, you know, physicality, and that the hard question of science about where does consciousness come from, or whatever you want to call it, spirituality, still hasn't been answered. And I think people are generally reconnecting more deeply with the idea that there's more to me than just the material stuff, right? And therefore reconnecting with life as a gift, right? I don't mean to go so deep here, but if I can connect with life as a gift, then it changes the questions I ask. For example, what is work really for in this grand adventure of life? Is it just to make a living, to buy stuff that I don't need? Or is it partly to grow me into the fullness of who I can be? What is education really for in this grand adventure of life? Is it to awaken my curiosity or to conform me? Other better questions would be questions like, well, what if it is possible, Pippi Longstocking? You know, what if? How would it be possible? One of the people that inspires me, and I only recently discovered him, is a guy called Father Jose Maria, and I won't attempt to pronounce his last name, who in 1956 went to this small town in Catalonia where all the young people had no hope and no future. So he started a technical college.
Yeah.
And since 1956, this whole thing has grown into a movement called the Mondragon Corporation, which is a cooperative that includes universities, hospitals, research laboratories, manufacturing plants, that I think last year turned over 8 billion euros, and provides pension provision and healthcare for all of their workers. But they're not just about the bottom line shareholder, because it's a cooperative, it's for everybody. So it's possible to be at the cutting edge of solving the world's problems and making money and helping people thrive in life by thinking differently. But what that story teaches me is that you have to take a long-term view and you have to start somewhere, right? We can't fix the whole thing, but you could start somewhere with, what could I do? What could I bring? What difference could I make if I just chose to play a very different game? And then the last thing I would say about that is, don't try and go it alone.
Yeah.
Because it will demand everything of you. I mean, Father Jose Maria started poor and he died poor, but he has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, that's inspiring. Yeah. And, for me, like that Phyllis Tickle concept, many people won't get it and they will just carry on with what they're most comfortable with. And I understand that, because Sascha, when I was sending my kids to school, I knew that I wanted them to be more, and I knew that as my job as a parent was to help them to thrive. And at the same time, I had this fearful narrative in my head, but if they don't perform, they won't get a job. It's a real tension, but somehow we have to break out of that, because
what I think, sorry to interrupt, is
no worries.
You mentioned in Spain, you learn by example. Even we are learning by example. Yeah. And then I ask myself the question, did I do everything? did I give my all to make it happen?
Yeah.
And there's always an answer.
Yeah. No matter what and even if.
Thank you for staying with us till the end. I believe it gave you something to think about. In a minute, I will share my personal takeaways. But before revealing these hidden gemstones, I like to address the dialogue doesn't end here. It's your invitation to continue the journey. I invite you to engage with your own thoughts and insights below, or step directly into the alt forum with us. This is an exclusive peer dialogue for visionary leaders to step into the future. It's a thought-provoking space for forerunners, forward-thinking leaders, and pioneers who are ready to catalyze their authentic leadership transformation. You can experience this powerful forum first and decide later. Just use the link in the description to join. alt.businessrevivalist.com/forum. I'm looking forward to see you there. I'd like to share a few notes that I made during this conversation with Sascha, David, and Chris. Sascha mentions that creativity is an expression of identity, with authenticity being the core of our creativity. Secondly, she said, love and safety are the soil for authentic transformation. David continues, obstacles reveal the future we are called to build, and mistakes are raw material for growth. So turn failures into fuel for innovation. Chris urges to reconnect with the sacredness of life. The root of creative leadership, gratitude reshapes inquiry. To finish, I'd like to thank my guests Chris, Sascha, and David for this great conversation with all their deep and honest answers. I want to thank you for staying with us till the end, and I'm really looking forward to see you in the alt forum. Just use the link in the description, alt.businessrevivalist.com/forum, to experience it first and decide later.